Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Sarah Warsey, and I am the Marketing Manager here at Sentia. Today, we are going to talk about the importance of SaaS protection for your Office 365 and G Suite applications. As companies increasingly move to cloud-based email, there is a consensus that traditional best practices such as backing up are no longer required since SaaS applications are always available and accessible. But the reality is that data stored in the cloud can be just as prone to loss and corruption if not adequately backed up. Today, we are going to hear more about this. We'll start the session off with an overview of Sentia from Chris West, our VP of Sales and Marketing, and he'll also go into a bit more detail of our expertise in the data protection space. We will then hear from Tulsi Nareen, who is a solutions engineer at Datto, a technology firm that provides high-value solutions around business continuity to managed services providers like Sentia. We will then close the session off with a call to action and an opportunity for some Q&A. If you do have a question during the session, please feel free to enter it into the chat window and it will be addressed at the end. With that said, I'd like to pass it over to Chris to get started. Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Sarah. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Chris West. I'm obviously with Sentia. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing, and to a large degree, I have responsibility for our vendor and our strategic solution relationships and partnerships. And one of those partnerships that we've had for a little over 3 years now is with the team at Datto, of which Tulsi is one of the solution engineers, as Sarah described. So before we get into the discussion of the Datto platform and its capabilities, just a very quick overview of Sentia. Some of you that are with us today will know and do know who we are and what we're really good at. But for those of you who aren't as familiar, we are we're in 12 different countries around the world, believe it or not. We focus a lot in Ontario, of course, but outside of that, we are in 11 other countries. So we do have global reach. At our core, we are very committed to what we describe as delivering outstanding high-value solutions through excellence, innovation, and trust. So we are a very highly skilled, very high-value, high-touch solution provider and service provider. And we work with organizations such as Datto to build offerings and build solutions for our customers. And we cater to the very small to the small to medium business is our sweet spot. And we do have clientele that are also in the large enterprise space as well. So we're in Richmond Hill. We've got about 26 people. We've been around for over a decade, so 12 years or so. We've got 300 give or take satisfied clients that have worked with us on all types of different projects. Again, global provider of high value infrastructure solutions. We do have cloud capability. I wouldn't say it's what we recommend only. We typically recommend and prefer hybrid because we do feel that that's the right solution for clients. Our team are very highly skilled. So the average is about 17 years, our technical team. And we specialize, as Sarah described, in data protection, virtualization, network security, and cybersecurity, and helping clients achieve what we would describe as hybrid IT, a balance between on-prem and cloud. And what I would describe is we have a very unique ability to design, architect, deploy, so actually implement, and then manage through our NOC team and our managed services team, any of the solutions we sell. So we are a little bit unique in that regard. So I am personally a fan of what you're going to hear about today for a number of reasons. One, it's I would describe a very easy to use, very powerful way to protect your data. Now, we are talking about 365 and G Suite, so it doesn't do everything, but specific to 365 and G Suite, it is. I've seen the demos. I've worked with clients. I do have clients using this today. Some of them are very small, some are very large, and it is a very I would describe a very easy to use, very affordable, very flexible platform that helps protect your 365 your shared or your dedicated mailboxes, your SharePoint sites, as well as your OneDrive. So that alone, and I've seen it compared to the competition, and it is, I would just describe much easier, and it's much more affordable, much more flexible, and at the end of the day, a more powerful solution. So that's why we thought it would be a very interesting topic to discuss with you and to present to you and have you consider it, because a lot of people we're seeing these days, whether you're small, medium, or large, a lot of people are not protecting their 365 data. They are assuming Microsoft is, and they're not really strategically thinking about, what am I doing to protect that data and those mailboxes. This solution allows you to do that very easily, as Tulsi, who I'll introduce and pass it over to in a second, will walk you through. So as Sarah said, if you've got questions, please ask them and please include them in the chat window. And then I'll be back in a little while to talk about a call to action. Okay, so Tulsi, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I hope everyone enjoys the next segment.
All right, awesome. Well, hey everyone, good morning. As Chris said, my name is Tulsi Nareen. I've been with Datto in the past couple of years. My focus here is actually enables me to actually speak with clients like yourself on the importance of data backup and security. Prior to Datto, I've been around at IBM for about 10 years, and prior to that, I was a sysadmin at a small startup in Toronto. So with that said, today I'd like to speak with you about data backup for Office 365 and G Suite and why it's 100% needed in your organization. So about 2 years ago, we began seeing a trend that SaaS applications becoming the new standard for small businesses. But we are now seeing SMB adoption of the cloud at an extremely rapid rate. We have reached a key junction point in the market growth. We know recently we saw some news from Google. Google Drive just hit about 1 billion users globally. Microsoft is getting more aggressive about pushing people to the cloud, and in many ways, they are just forcing you as clients and end users to actually use their service online. Now, as end users, we have a lot to gain from moving to Office 365 and G Suite. We know that businesses that are taking advantage of productivity enhancement offerings like SaaS protection, like G Suite, like collaboration products online, are growing 19% faster than their counterparts that don't. And now this is just table stakes. Moving to the cloud will improve efficiency for small businesses and processes. It gives end user more flexibility, more of ability to innovate, and it allows teams to collaborate across organizations to run their business more effectively. But moving to the cloud certainly introduces a certain amount of risk into business. SaaS data, online data that lives on end users' laptops, mobile devices, and so forth, is still subject to human errors, malicious deletion, misconfiguration of workflows, ransomware. And when those problems comes up, who does a client call and expect to have the answer? They call their MSP, like Sentia. They actually require answers from their MSP in terms of solving these issues. Now, this is an issue, believe it or not. SaaS vendors do not protect data. It is a shared responsibility model once you move your data within a SaaS vendor environment. Microsoft and Google are responsible for the availability of their services, and that's where their responsibilities end. They are protecting their infrastructure and making sure services are accessible and available for users. The MSP and end users are responsible for the protection of the actual data. Oops, let me just back up here a second. So for many of us that leverage Office 365 and G Suite, we automatically believe Microsoft and Google are backing up data that we created. So did one of our end clients that's using this product. Their name is Get. Get is a ride-sharing app that is utilized by more than 17,000 companies worldwide. Get's Office 365 environment was affected by RansomCloud. RansomCloud is a new type of ransomware that encrypts user emails and OneDrive data. Now, while users could see the subject of their emails and the body, but the body was actually encrypted, they were actually unable to actually open those emails and actually see any relevant content from it. I'm happy to say Get is one of our SaaS customers, and they were able to actually implement our product after the actual incident. but not before they actually suffer a tremendous amount of impact to their reputation within the marketplace, plus the financial impact that they had, not enable their employees to be productive during that incident and during the outbreak of ransomware within their environment. Now, while some protection will comes with Office 365 license, it is important to be aware of what it covers. By default, any emails that you delete will only be retained for 14 days. Your MSP, like Sentia, can help you optionally configure this to maintain deleted content for up to 30 days, but that's where it ends. We frequently hear backups and archiving can be expensive, and this is simply not true. As an organization, we have heard from our partners and clients on the effects of not having a proper backup solution. The productivity loss can easily be in the tens of thousands. Now, in 2019, we saw a significant uptick in ransomware and data breaches. And if we can take a lesson learned from 2019, is it that in 2020, the trend will continue. Businesses need to protect their data, both locally and in the cloud. Now, and it doesn't really matter which vertical that you're in, data deletion affects all businesses. Thus, proper data backups and archiving is needed to enable easy recovery of data, but also e-discovery of data in terms of discovering what you have stored within these systems. We're living in a world where content is no longer deleted, but they don't benefit from being on primary storage, such as Office 365. Archive data needs to be placed on secondary storage, and SaaS protection is a great alternative of such secondary storage, whereby you can keep emails from 10 years ago and being able to access it with a few clicks. So what is Microsoft saying about all of this? This was taken directly from their SLA. If there is an application outage, they are not responsible for the loss of your data. It is recommending using a third-party app or service for data protection. And by the way, this is true for Google as well. Now, what if you accidentally remove an account? Data is kept in a recycle bin for about 90 days before it is purged. Keep in mind, this is just a recycle bin. It is not data backup. Another one of our end client that is using this product is a large PR agency in New York. They had suffered an Office 365 breach due to phishing. By the time they realized their data was actually deleted and purged, it was too late for them to actually recover from the existing data protection Office 365 offers. Since they had SaaS protection, they were able to restore their end user data within a matter of minutes. And this includes the end user emails, contacts, calendars. It is important to note, since the data was not deleted, it was actually encrypted in a place. It prevents recovery from any of the Microsoft tool sets that was previously provided to them with their current instance of the actual product. The question of data loss isn't about if, but when. Already 1 out of 3 SaaS customers has lost data that they could not have recovered. And in our own independent surveys of IT professionals, about 40% of SaaS customers have already experienced some data loss. The most common type of data loss we have witnessed is simply accidental deletion. An end user deletes something they didn't intend to, and they didn't realize until later. Or a third-party app, we have noticed in many instances whereby it integrates with Office 365 and delete any data without user noticing, usually until it's too late. And finally, we continue to see more and more ransomware attack occurs. People might not believe that ransomware can happen in the cloud, but strains of ransomware like CryptoLocker and Jigsaw can enter a SaaS environment via file sync. File syncs are obviously something that we all benefit from in terms of having things like Google Stream Drive on Office 365 Active Sync in terms of moving data from our desktops into the SaaS protection or into the SaaS service. Now, the fact that Office 365 and G Suite have such a large user base sometimes means these attacks goes on without them noticing. And it's also a great way to attract new type of attacks, because these user bases are so large. It's simply a form from hackers moving from the on-premise environment now into Office 365. Now, something to be aware of, the average hacker makes about $10,000 charging users back for access for their own data. I mean, these are data that they have previously encrypted that belongs to someone, and you simply have to pay the ransomware if you want to gain access to that data again. We have seen ransomware attacks cost as much as $425,000 last year. Aside from the cost of hacker, this could mean days or even weeks without access to critical files. So as businesses, we need to begin thinking about how we can recover data easily that has not accidentally been deleted or maliciously encrypted. This is where SaaS protection comes in. SaaS protection gives your organization data protection that is backed up and secure. The solution offered by Datto and Sentia provides an automated secure backup of data that resides in the 5 components of Office 365 suite, including Exchange, Calendar, Contacts, OneDrive, and SharePoint, and all relevant apps that you might find within G Suite, such as your mail, your calendars, your contacts, your drives, and team drives. With SaaS protection, you're able to save time by recovering gigabytes of data in minutes. This further reduces license costs by deprovision unused license you may have otherwise in Office 365 and G Suite, and recover to a point in time before encryption or accidental deletion of data. As customers, you can save time with set it and forget backup. The whole goal here is this tool is built to automate, to be as automated as possible and reliable by consistently backing up user data 3 times daily across all applications within Office 365 and G Suite in terms of those core applications around mail, contacts, calendars, SharePoints, and so forth. All of our backups that we are taking are point in time. What that means is snapshots that have been taken of a folder, let's say, for example, today at 11 a.m., will exist in terms of when you're ready to restore it. The way we connect to the Microsoft and Google APIs make it very easy for us to detect when new users are added to your tenants. So as your organizations are growing, as you rotate in users in and out of your business, you can ensure that their data is automatically being protected. And your MSP Sentia can actually help you with the setup and help you with further automation of this product. Now, to give you some further insights as to where your data is kept, SaaS protection is a cloud-to-cloud backup that is regionalized. That means data that is transferred directly from the Microsoft and Google data centers directly into Datto's. We know your data obviously is very highly important to you. This is why we encrypt the data in transit and at rest in 2 Canadian data centers. Here in Canada, we actually keep data both in Toronto and in Calgary. So if something was to happen here on the East Coast, your data certainly is protected in the West Coast and vice versa. So in wrapping this up, really, why SaaS protection? It is to help your business mitigate risk due to loss of data. We want to be able to protect the investments you already made in storing your data online, because let's face it, that is where the true value of your business resides, in the exchange of data, conversations, emails, and so forth with your business partners. Is to enable your IT partners like Sentia to not only protect your on-premises data, but also what resides in the cloud. Now, with that said, I want to thank you for listening. I'd like to pass it back to Chris. Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Tulsi. That's a great overview. I've seen the tool in operation and demo and production. I've, as I mentioned earlier, a number of clients using it, and a number of clients who have looked at the alternatives, and we as a MSP, but also a solution provider, we're familiar with the other solutions that are in the market. This is the one we chose to do a webinar on, and one that I choose to promote with clients, existing as well as new clients and prospects, is just based upon, in my opinion, 3 things. It's very simple to use. The process of getting it up and running is easy. It's quick. It's efficient. It doesn't take long at all. And I find we can play the role as the MSP, or what I find is a bit unique. you as a client can also have access to the portal or to the interface, so that if you have an IT team internally, you have access to it, so you can do a little bit of your own administration and reporting and such, which is a service we provide. But for clients who don't wish to have that layer of involvement, that's a role that we play as the managed service provider. And then most importantly, and I do understand, it's always about price. I would suggest to you that it is very competitively priced with other solutions that are out there, and it is a monthly. There is a minimum 12-month commitment, but typically what we do is we package 12 months and offer a pretty aggressive discount upfront for prepaying that 12 months. So you've got 12 months at a time, and then it acts almost like any other renewal that you might have with your other software vendors and hardware vendors, where you're renewing it on an annual basis. So it does make it easy for you to consume as a customer, which is good. But typically, $2 to $3 is sort of that suggested selling price, and usually economies of scale. The larger the deployment, typically the better the per seat price. But even in a small deployment, it is very competitively priced with other options that you might have out there in the market. So I wanted to thank Tulsi and Sarah. It's been a great overview. I think from a call to action standpoint, I would ask you to consider what your needs are. So you might be doing something today. Are you happy with it? Would you like an alternative? Would you consider an alternative? If you're not doing anything, I would ask you this: as experts in data protection as we are, I would ask you, is the business willing to take that risk, and are you aware of the risk potentially that you are at by not backing up, protecting your 365 and your G Suite data and apps, as Tulsi described? If you are interested in a SaaS protection quotation or proposal from us, I would ask you to reach out to Sarah. It does not take long for us to do, and we would be happy to give you at least an idea budgetary of what the investment would be, so that you can work it into your budget for 2020 and beyond. For those of you that want to see it, and that want a demo, we can run a demo because we know the tool. Or what we often will do is we'll ask Tulsi or one of the technical team at Datto to join us to be able to go through a comprehensive 15, 20-minute demo to show you the GUI, the interface, the reporting capability, the granularity, and just the honest ease of backing up. And Tulsi described it as setting it and forgetting it, which really means it's just incremental forever. Back up everything forever. And as long as you're paying for and investing in the solution, your data will be there to be able to recover. And then we can also demonstrate how easy it is to restore a mailbox or a SharePoint site or a OneDrive folder, for example. And then you'll see the true value. And I think it's something I would strongly encourage you to do if you're currently not doing anything to protect your 365 or your G Suite SaaS apps. Okay. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm going to pass it back to Sarah, and we'll see if there are any questions from anyone on the call. And if not, have a great day.
Thank you, Chris and Tulsi, for that very informative session today. Yes, and I'd like to open up the floor to address any questions if there are any. I don't see anything in the chat window, but if anybody does have anything that they want to ask right now, I'll give it just a couple moments here. Okay, I don't see anything. That's perfectly fine. We have our contact info up here. Should you have any questions or concerns that you'd like to address at a later point, please do not hesitate to reach out to any one of us. And as Chris mentioned, if you are interested in leveraging a demo of the solution, feel free to reach out to myself and I can help arrange that. That concludes today's session. On behalf of Chris, Tulsi, and myself, I'd like to thank you again for joining us today. A recorded version of this session will be sent out shortly afterwards. Thank you again.